Alright lads, so one of the best parts about being on the global version of Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade is the fact that the Japanese version came out almost a year ago. They are about to celebrate their first anniversary sometime next week, but what this does mean for both whales, free-to-players, everyone in the community, we can use a future foresight to know what characters are worth summoning for, what characters should you skip, and what characters you have to summon for. Well, that's what we're here to talk about in today's video. And before we do, it's worth noting that the rate for characters when rated up is a 0.7% chance. So not too high, but what this does mean is that you need to get as much as possible when summoning for your favorite units, because otherwise you aren't going to get them. RNG is at play here. Sometimes you'll get lucky, sometimes you won't, and that's why having as much cubes as possible is going to be the play, and that's why most people, myself included, recommend any free-to-play to save all your cubes right now, because we have a big character coming out potentially in less than 3 weeks time. While it's true that we do have a pity system in this game, it does require 75,000 cubes, which no one realistically is going to have at this current point in time, so you really can't rely on the pity system, at least for the time being. And the first character to release very soon, by the way, on the global version, in like 3 weeks time, is going to be Yuta as part of the Movie Zero collaboration. Now, no one's mentioned it just yet. Because it is a movie collab, there is a very small chance that we don't get this character in 3 weeks like Japan did after their launch. But assuming we are going to follow the Japanese timeline, this character should release in 3 weeks time, and this is going to be the first must-have unit over on the global version. One of the main reasons for that is because he is a red attacker, and we are currently lacking that right now. The final quest in the story mode requires a red attacker, otherwise it's going to be a lot more difficult, and having Yuta is almost going to be a must. At the same time, he is a movie collab unit, so he is limited. If you don't pull this character now, you won't get a chance to pull for him for a very long time. So what exactly makes this character special? Well, he just deals a lot of damage, but one of his bad parts is the skill 2, which deals AoE damage to all enemies based on his curse technique. It would decrease all enemies' crit resistance, so you have a higher chance to crit. You can stack that, and most importantly, depending on the enemy's remaining HP, you can instantly kill the enemy, which is a really cool mechanic, and it should help clearing some of those more difficult stages when there are maybe 4 cursed spirits a lot easier. Keep in mind though, not every enemy can be instant killed. That's expected. You can't expect to go into a boss fight and instantly kill the enemy. His third skill though, keep in mind, is a mixture of physical and also curse technique, but that itself also does do a lot of damage, and it works very well with the fact that he does have an ultimate here that prioritizes his curse damage, dealing 200% to all enemies, so it's an AoE ultimate, then further increases his physical and also curse damage by 20% for 4 turns. Although with that, it's worth noting he can't fill his ultimate gauge for another 4 turns, but that's fine. You can take advantage of the buffs that you are getting to allow yourself to do more damage, more so when there's multiple enemies using skill number 2. One of the better parts about Yuta though is the fact that he does have a very good auto skill, where at the start of each turn, if there's any ally under 60% HP and Yuta himself is above 10 cursed energy, he will recover all allies' HP by 25%. So not only is this character going to double down as a damage dealer, he's also going to be a pretty good and reliable healer. It means you don't have to sacrifice one unit in your team for the sole purpose of just being a healer. Yuta's going to do both, while at the same time increasing his physical and also curse damage by 10%, filling his ultimate gauge by 200, but keep in mind this can only happen 3 times during the battle. Since Yuta is accompanied by Rika, every time he gets attacked, there's a chance he can deal damage back to the enemy. So this is going to be our first big unit coming to the game, but most importantly, a red attacker, very much needed on everyone's account, and also super limited. Alongside Yuta, we're also going to get our very first Ghetto. He's also going to be limited, so you might want to pull for him for that aspect alone, but he's definitely replaceable in the upcoming future, more so during the half anniversary, as we are about to get a better Ghetto that kind of does the same thing, but better. And given the fact that he releases alongside Yuta, after pulling for Yuta, you might not have any cubes left over for this character, so you can definitely skip him without any problem. But quickly describing what this character does do, and he's going to be very similar to the upcoming Ghetto that we will talk about. The whole idea with this character is that he recovers cursed energy every single turn. His auto skill also allows him to recover more cursed energy every time he defeats an enemy. So the idea is that the more cursed energy you have, the more damage you can do on your skills. It's a mixture between physical and cursed damage that he does do. For example, with skill number 2, right? He would deal 270% curse damage to any enemy, but depending on the amount of energy that he has as he uses the skill, he will increase the damage that you can do with physical attacks. Or if it's above 40, you'll do the same, but for curse damage. 120% curse damage to all enemies, so it's an AoE skill that further increases the amount of damage that he can do depending on the amount of curse energy you do have. His ultimate is also a AoE attack, but again, it is dependent on the amount of curse energy that he does have. However, when you do use your ultimate, it will reduce your curse energy down to 0. So more of a debuff unit, has that limited aspect, but given the fact that he releases alongside Yuta, and the fact that we are getting a Ghetto in the upcoming future, you can kind of skip this character with ease. If you are a collector though, you might want to pull for him. Now a month after that character releases, we're getting another Gojo. Now the easy way to describe what this character is the Gojo that we have in game right now. It's a very similar character, but in the green attribute. Remember, you cannot use the same character in the same team. So if you are using this Gojo, you will be using him over the blue one. If you get both Gojos, just switch between one and the other, depending on what character does more damage during that particular quest/event. This character has a lot going for him, and with like every other Gojo that you are going to see in this game, all the skills cost 1, so he gets to spam all his skills. But also keep in mind, just like our first Gojo, he will be leaving the field after 7 turns, so you only have 7 turns to make this character work, but during that time, you can spam attacks, and also are immune to taking damage. Skill 1 will have a 400% damage multiplier. It will focus on his physical attack, has a very high chance to hit a critical, while at the same time increasing the damage that you can do for 2 turns, at least against that one particular enemy. Skill 2 is a debuff attack, increasing the damage the enemy can take by 30%. He will also increase the damage the character can do by 10%. This is a bit of a disadvantage, but the benefits outweigh the negatives because you'll also get a 70% damage increase, which is really, really good. His third skill will have a utility effect, increasing his break damage, dealing a lot of damage, and also once more decreasing their damage. One thing to keep in mind with this Gojo though, is that once you do use your ultimate, that has a very high multiplier by the way, he will leave the field. So you kind of want to save this ultimate for the final turn, right before he does leave, because otherwise you're kind of wasting turns with this character. You don't want to lose it so early, but one unique effect this character does have is that he will lower the enemy's ultimate gauge by 2. So another very powerful Gojo. This character is premium, so you can get him later on if you don't pull him when he's available. There's always the chance you pull him in the future. So if you do miss him, it's not that big of a deal, but ideally with any Gojo release, you are going to want to summon for him. After that Gojo does release, Shockup, there's another Gojo. Now this character releases during the half anniversary, so around 4 months after the Gojo we just spoke about. Now the special part about this Gojo is that he actually doesn't leave, so you can take full advantage of this unit, which probably makes him the best Gojo in the entire game, but also a Gojo in another attribute. So gonna be one of your best yellow attackers in the game. And this character's a lot going for him. I don't want to spend too much time talking about each individual character, but there is kind of a lot to say about him. So first up, at the start of a battle, he will become immune to attacks for 2 turns, increase damage by 30%, but also activate the Jujutsu damage special by 5% for 4 turns. This is important because skill number 2 basically activates the buff he gets right at the start. However, if you use this while that buff is activated, you instead do a different attack where you now get a 80% damage increase for 4 turns and also increase your critical rate by 30% for 4 turns. And again, you can stack this. So at the start of the game, you're instantly able to do a lot of damage, but if that buff does wear off, you can just get it again using skill number 2. And you're not in a rush with this unit because this unit will not be leaving the quest after 7 turns. Skill number 1 though is just a single target attack while also attracting the enemy to only attack you, 35% chance more so, but also does feel his ultimate a lot faster. And his ultimate in particular, fairly simple, 1500 range curse damage to all enemies, 5 hits, with the benefit of never leaving the field. So this is just a improved upon Gojo. It's another Gojo in a different attribute, this time yellow, really good damage, really good buffs, can spam all his attacks without the ever worry of leaving the quest after 7 turns. But remember, this character can actually die. He's not invincible, he can be during certain skills, but overall a very good unit, and this unit will be paired with Ghetto. So Ghetto's kind of getting the short end of the stick again. He's a really good unit actually, but at the same time is releasing alongside Gojo, so unless you're a massive Ghetto fan, I don't think anyone's going to summon for this character over Gojo. But remember, these characters aren't super limited. You can always get them later on while summoning for better characters, like our next character that we will talk about in a minute. The thing with this character is that he's very similar to the last Ghetto we briefly spoke about. The whole idea is that every turn he's increasing his cursed energy, and the more cursed energy you have while using certain skills, the more effects you can do. Like, for example, increasing your critical rate by 20%, increasing your damage by 20%. And the more cursed energy you have, the more damage boost you get. Likewise with the first Ghetto, every time you defeat an enemy, you get more cursed energy. His second skill is a single target attack, increasing the damage they do receive for 4 turns, so you can actually increase this. And keep in mind, it's specifically physical damage received, so you do want to pair him with physical type characters. And likewise, if your cursed energy is above 30, you'll get another damage buff. His ultimate will combine both physical and also curse damage, increase his break effects, increase the amount of curse energy he can hold by 40 for 4 turns, and also increase his curse energy by 20. So really good unit, great debuffer, works very well with other green characters, especially physical ones, and just gets to constantly spam attacks because he's constantly regaining his curse energy. And after Ghetto releases, lucky for us, we have a cooldown period where for 4 months we won't get any super crazy banners. We'll get some good characters every now and then, but definitely everyone should be saving for Toji. He's a fan favorite. Everyone's going to summon for him anyway, but he is absolutely insane. And the best part about him is that he's another red attacker. So if you don't manage to get Yuta, this is where Toji's going to come in clutch, but this character won't release for like another 8 months. But what I love most about this unit is, just like Maki, this character cannot consume or recover any curse energy. So you basically every turn get to use any attack you want to. The difference though is that he has crazy damage multipliers and can deal crazy damage, something that Maki basically can't do. Before we talk about this character's skills, it's important to understand the auto skills that he does have, where he'll increase his physical damage by 50%, and this is a permanent buff, while also at the same time healing himself, decrease the damage that he does take. There's a 20% chance he just invades an attack if it is single target. Some skills / statuses just cannot target him, and when he hits a critical, his next critical will have a 50% chance to hit. And that works well with his next auto skill, where after hitting a critical, you'll get a 50% taiju to damage buff, physical damage buff in this case for the global version. And if this effect is active, so let's say you hit another critical, you'll then get a 25% buff to your physical damage, but keep in mind, this cannot be stacked. And that's just from his auto skills, by the way, because we haven't even spoken about the character skills itself. Skill 1 is single target, while also increasing the chance for him to hit a critical. That again can stack. Skill 2 is another single attack that nullifies any reduced damage buffs that the enemy might have, so nothing's stopping him from dealing damage. Skill 3 increases his break damage by 250%, that's very high, removes any buff, and then deals damage. This is his weakest attack, keep that in mind, despite it being his third skill. But that's because it comes with some extra effects. So if you're trying to break the enemy's bar, you'd want to use this. Once you break it, then you can use skill 2, which deals a lot of damage. Once you gain your ult though, once more, removes bus, and is an AoE attack, 1500%, very high multiplier, very good attack. This character is going to be absolutely crazy. He's definitely one I'm most looking forward to. Toji is just a cool character in general, but it's the fact that you get to spam your attacks whenever you want to, not worry about any cursed energy, use what you want to use, and just deal constant damage. He's an absolute damage dealing unit, self-sufficient, but this is the unit that's coming out last. It's in like 9 or so months from now. And after this character comes out, well, at that point, all you gotta do is save for the first anniversary, which in this case hasn't happened just yet, but you can almost guarantee whatever the anniversary unit will be. We'll talk about it on the channel when they do get announced. Likely going to be the start of the Shibuya arc or Sukuna. They're pretty much guaranteed to be one of the most broken characters in the entire game. When is an anniversary character not that? But like I mentioned, during these big banners, there's also gonna be some other good characters that will release, but again, there's no like super limited units. If you skip on a unit, you can always get them later on. Like for example, if we scroll down here, right, looking at the events that we do get right after Toji, we do get an SR Miwa, so if you are a Miwa fan, you might want to pull for her. She's actually a really good tank, I believe. But while pulling for Miwa, you could potentially get Toji. You could get Gojo, any of the past Gojos. So that's something to keep in mind, right? If you do miss out on a unit, you can always get them later on while summoning for the newer units. The only character you can't do that for is the movie Zero characters, because they are movie collaborations, they are limited. And to my knowledge, I don't think Yuta has returned. I believe he's about to during the first anniversary. So even if Yuta maybe gets replaced later on, even Ghetto, right? If there are better characters that come out later on that replace what they do, they have that limited status about them. So if you are a collector, you might want to get them. But yeah, that's basically the breakdown. All the upcoming characters, the main ones that you want to summon for is basically Gojo, Ghetto, Yuta, and also Toji. Those are the characters that I'm personally saving for, and any other character that does release, I'll get them later on. Hope this was able to help you out. If you're free to play, save for those characters. You won't regret it. Let me know what character you're most excited for in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, and peace.